Welcome back, and today we are focusing on the Longbow Hunter. Now, I mentioned in my last video about trying to make these long videos so that it's got all of the content in it at one time, and when doing that, I noticed that I was missing just too many things on every individual specific weapon that I personally did not like, and I feel as if it was an injustice to you guys. So moving forward, when I'm doing these video guides, I'm going to be doing them in bite pieces. You know, the length might still be similar, but there's going to be a lot more in depth, which is what the nature of these should be, in my opinion. Thank you guys again for being here. Let's get into it. Hunter time, baby. Traits that work specifically in form of longbow assistance is what we're going to focus on here. And I'm going to go over these with you so you kind of understand why the longbow works the way that it does and how it's empowered through your traits. The first thing here is swiftness. Now, as you can see, the bar on the middle between your mana and your health, you'll see the invisible bar. That is your swiftness bar. And when you hit something, you generate swiftness. Now, as you can see on your traits here, this line where it says swiftness reduces the charge time of your shots. One of the important things with using a longbow is playing around the very long draw that the weapon has. So having a lot of swiftness helps with that. And swiftness generation over time, and the longer you're in fights, is simply just going to make you all the more deadly. A couple of the other ones is like snare shot, for instance, where hitting your target's legs or feet with a charge shot reduces their movement for a short time. This is extra useful against melee characters chasing you down, assuming you can get it off. Blessing of the Wind. This increases your swiftness if you pray at these statues in the game. I almost never do this. I'm not going to lie. It's probably troll. I should be doing it more often. 20% increased swiftness generation for 5 minutes is quite a bit. So if you ever see like the wolf statue or the bird statues out there, that's what this is for. If you have this trait, you can get 20% increased swiftness for 5 minutes. Improved headshots. This increases the damage you deal directly to the head. And when you have a weapon like the longbow, that headshot is your bread and butter. If you can hit a really big headshot on somebody, you've already almost secured the fight indefinitely. Another one is Windrunner, where when you evade, I believe it's a 20-second cooldown. After every evade, you get a faster moving sprint speed. This is good for running away, obviously. Let's see. Detonate Air Vault. So Air Vault actually is one of the high-end skill set movement skills in the Hunter's repertoire. You can use it offensively and defensively. And support, which we'll go more in depth with, and I'll show you guys in this video a guide specifically about the movement of Air Vault. But offensively, Air Vault is really nice because it allows you to kick the enemy directly in front of your face, away from you, while you move the other direction. So it increases a lot of space in between you and whoever's trying to be in your face. And then if you have a bramble trap in between you and him, or you kick them into your bramble trap, you're now playing the game of keep away from you, which I talked about a little bit in my last video of part 2 on the breakdown of all the classes. Air Vault is a really good way to keep yourself safe in the mix, especially if you've been tethered by a warrior or there's a rogue that's just all up in your grill, not allowing you to live. To Air Vault, all you have to do is, while in the air for any reason, whether it's jumping or falling off a ledge, you just hit your evade and it'll automatically do the Air Vault. So Air Vault, very important one. Monster Slaying, Windfall. Windfall is the other part of the movement tech where when you're falling in the air, you can actually aim down sights, and when you aim down sights, it'll keep you floating in the air at the cost of stamina to get a really good shot on somebody from an angle that they're not expecting. But there's movement tech with it as well, and I will show you guys that later in the video. But keep an eye on Windfall. It's a very important one. The rest of these are okay. Pinning Shot. This is a good one. Hitting your targets in the chest with a charged shot knocks them back a short distance, and if they collide with a wall, they are pinned for a short time. This is nice, especially with a longbow, because you can hit them, and you hit them directly into a wall, and it stuns them, and then you can follow up with your Q, which is a lightning bolt that shoots through them and deals a lot of damage. So it can be monstrous if you can get a pinning shot landed on somebody. That's the traits. Next, let's go over the skills that I use specifically for the longbow, and then we'll move on to some more stuff. So as mentioned before, every class does have their weapon-specific skill. The weapon-specific skill for the longbow is actually Thunder Arrow, which is what I was just talking about. And what this does is if you hit your Q, you're going to throw out like a hit scan beam to your target, and it hits either them or the ground, and it will create a shockwave that deals lightning damage, and it knocks them away. And if they're in the air, that's just enough to knock them down. So if somebody's jumping in the air and you even hit the ground below them, the upward damage of that lightning will actually cause them to fall and land on the ground. This is a very big punishing ability. So if you use this one well, it is super effective at guaranteeing kills because of how instantaneous the hit scan is. So one of my big combos is I full draw a heavy longbow, I let it go, I hit him in the head, and I immediately follow it up with this Q. And if I can hit this Q and that longbow headshot, there is not a class in the game that is not immediately terrified and trying to reset for their life. The next one that I use is flying seed bombs. You can actually use seed bombs as well. I just have a preference of using the flying seed bomb because it pairs really well with the chest piece that I use, which is when a flying seed bomb gets on somebody, they're snared for a short duration. The weakest part about the longbow hunter is if somebody's able to close the gap on you very well. And having flying seed bombs and this eagle feather scale mail, this gives me the opportunity to be a little bit scrappier in tighter places and offsets some of the biggest counters that this class has. So I personally learned the flying seed bombs and the eagle feather scale mail for that exact reason. The bramble trap is just literally too good to not use. If they walk into it, they get snared and they start building up hemorrhage and they take nature damage and they're slowed and they can't dash through it. They can't run through it. None of it. It's very strong. This is the pinnacle of fighting a class that knows how to close the gap on you with Cyclone. You do not need Cyclone as much as you think you do when playing the Longbow Hunter if you play around your Bramble Traps effectively. And once you can play around your Bramble Traps effectively and play around the Cyclone, you are an immortal beast that does more damage than you probably should, and that's why we love it so much. Alright, and then the next one is obviously Cyclone. This is the ability that you throw on the ground, and it does a lot of nature damage to them if they're standing in it. It grants you swiftness as they're in it, and you can jump if you're in it, and it will skyrocket you in the other way. A lot of people have a misconception about this ability being used only defensively to get away from things. That is not entirely true. Once you are confident and you know your matchups really well, you're actually able to use Cyclone in a very offensive manner. Notice when in some of these videos I'll show you, I'll probably have a clip or two where I felt so confident in my fight that they're going to proc a Bramble Trap, and while they're in the Bramble Trap, I'm going to Cyclone on top of them. Because the nature damage from the Cyclone and the Bramble Trap, as well as me peppering them with like short shots on the longbow, it does a massive amount of damage, and they are not expecting it to because nobody uses this ability offensively. Everybody uses it defensively. So I challenge you, if you're playing a longbow, to really think about when you can use Cyclone offensively rather than defensively, and it'll take your game to the next level. The next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is the gear that I choose to use. This is something that I felt like I missed out on those last videos because I just felt like there was too much in it. So this time I'm going to definitely go over the gear that you want to use. For me anyways, obviously you are more than welcome to change anything up that you like to fit you. But what I use is the Ember Branch Longbow. The speed at which you can pull that draw back and let go of this massive shot is almost too valuable to not use. The other bows, I'm not going to lie, I don't even know what they do because I won't even use them, because in my mind, the DPS difference I get from being able to pull my charged bow back faster is just insanely too strong. For the headpiece, I use the eagle feather helmet, which allows me to have an additional trap or bomb that I'm throwing at somebody. Again, I repeat, the thing that is the downfall of the hunter is if somebody's able to close the gap and be in your face nonstop. So the gear I choose to play around and play with is offsetting the negativities of the already strong longbow. So I want to be able to have as many traps as I can. That way I could dodge through them, and if they find a way around that one, I can throw another one, and I can just keep playing in this minefield of my traps. And having this allows me to do that by, instead of only being able to put, I believe it's 1, I can put now 2. So I definitely recommend using the eagle feather on this. As far as the shoulders, this is where you can choose one of 2. There's the air vault shoulders, which is what I'm using on this specific kick because I had it, where when you air vault an enemy, you gain swiftness. And as we talked about, swiftness increases the charge speed of your auto attack, which is more damage inherently. I like this. The other one is one that, actually, I can pull it up real quick. The other chest piece that I would recommend using at any given time would be the Wind Strider. So when damaging a snared target, it grants you a quick burst of movement speed. So a lot of your abilities, as we've seen before that we were talking about, snare your targets. So if you use the other chest piece, it gives you movement speed when you hit somebody that's been snared. Or you can get extra swiftness and do a little bit more damage. One's a defensive option, one's an offensive option. I use them both interchangeably depending on which one I have at the moment or that I got off another player. I just so happen to have the Hawk Plate on, but I probably lean personally more towards the other set when I'm playing. And the last one is the Elven Autumn Hide, which is when you use Evade, you grant swiftness. So I have things that are just constantly generating me swiftness, constantly getting me better attacks, and the other pants just don't seem like they're worth it. So I recommend using the Elven Autumn Hide for this as well. And that is a breakdown of your gear. All right, a quick little session here before we get into some gameplay. I just wanted to show you a couple things about the class in Greenwood so you can see effectively what I mean when I'm talking about them in the skill screen. So as you can see, the full draw on this, and I'm in greens, is about 717. And if I follow it up with a Q, that's where that damage really comes from. That's the combo essentially you're looking to build, and everything else is in your kit to get you to be able to either get a way to make that happen or just spam a bunch of Qs and make it happen up close. Your air vault should look like this in the middle of the air. If you air vault something, it'll kick you back, and normally, like I said, if there's an enemy in your face, it'll kick them the other way. The dummies don't move very much. But this is essentially the air vault technique that you should be using. Now, the one thing that I wanted to show you is the offensive power of Cyclone. Let's say that I throw down a trap and then a Cyclone on top of it. Just look at the damage over time that it's dealing. It is just so impressive that little bit of damage can really stack up fast. To the point that imagine if they're trying to get out and I'm still peppering them with little attacks. So with the longbow, you don't always have to do the full draw. If you do the full draw, it gives you the most damage. But if your opportunity is here to drop a trap and then just pepper little shots here because you're a little too close, I'm still doing 221 damage, not headshot. And I can throw in a Q in here. Like, the only strength of this weapon doesn't inherently come from sitting in a tree and running away and just finding ways to do your ultimate heavy hitting one-shot, right? There's other ways to play this that make it a lot more deadly, which is why I wanted to show you a little bit of the offensive ways to play with your trap as well as your Cyclone ability. And then the last thing that I wanted to go over that we didn't go over too much yet on the other class, like we didn't talk about it on Priest much, was explosive arrows and frost arrows. These are your class tools that, when paired with a longbow, do exceptionally well. I'm sorry. So, for instance, if I were to hit my explosive arrow, you'll see that I have the fire building up on my weapon. Now, it doesn't matter how much draw I have on the weapon. If I hit the person with that attack, they see that fireball on them, will then explode. So the damage that the explosive arrow does, it does not depend on the damage of the weapon that you're using. So it did 193 damage with a super long, hard shot. If I do tap damage, it's going to do the same amount of damage, 194. So don't be afraid to throw it in there if you know you have a guaranteed shot. It's still very valuable to hit somebody for 221 damage plus 194 damage. That's still a very big pressure amount of damage. But if you can find a way to somehow fire a fully charged shot into your queue, it is an insane amount of damage. It will almost kill anybody but a warrior if you can hit this if you're in blue plus gear. It is a destructive force. And that's just explosive arrow. So definitely explosive arrow. Enjoy farming all of those sweet, sweet arrows and those sweet, sweet fire powders. Alright, the last thing I'm going to talk about in Goldbrook before we go into some videos so I can show you the power that the longbow has if you play it correctly and commentate over it, is movement. The movement on the longbow is some of its strengths, 100%, and there's a couple things that you can do. The first one is the cyclone spam, which I'm sure if you've played the game in any form, you've heard the birds, you've seen a hunter interact with it and run away, but there is a little bit of efficiency you can do when using this ability. And the first one is if you're running away and you drop your cyclone and you're in the air, make sure to put your weapon away while you're in the air. Make sure you put your weapon away when you're in the middle of the air. If you're running or chasing somebody down, stamina depletion is the only thing that's going to stop you from getting away from or getting to your target. So managing your stamina, you should always have full stamina when doing this, and to make sure that that's the case, put your weapon away. What happens if you cyclone off a tall cliff? If you no. Okay, all right. The way that cyclone works, if you land on the same level that you cyclone off of, you do not take fall damage. However, if you cyclone off a ledge and you go to a lower ground, you take the difference in damage from the original ground to where you're at the end of the ground. So essentially, it's as if I just jumped off of this ledge to this point. Cyclone doesn't actually change your elevation until you land. Remember what I just told you about Cyclone, right? Where your elevation change makes a difference. If I was to jump off of this ledge, it would be a lot of damage, right? But with the tech that they're talking about, is you air vault out of holding in your right click. And your elevation is now changed to the last spot that you were heavy aiming in on. The air vault doesn't establish new ground. The aim in establishes new ground. This right here, this establishes new ground. And then you can air vault out of it. Just air vaulting, you'll take full damage. Alright, so in this clip, I'm actually going to showcase offensively how this windfall trait can be used to stop yourself from taking fall damage. This man gets absolutely pummeled hard. He tries to hide and heal, but I know the tech of how to get to him. And windfall in the air, into a windfall, evade, no damage, easy kill, and that's some gameplay right there, baby. So in this gameplay footage, I wanted to showcase a couple of concepts right there. What you saw me do was pre-charge my bow before I went into my cyclone. And I'm going to do it again here as well. And what you'll see this time is, not this one, the next one. What you'll see is I actually throw in an explosive arrow before I jump and charge. And this is essentially what secures me the kill. I come up, I hit him hard. He tries to run away. He blows up. And again, I'm just taking pepper damage. I'm not looking for the full draws anymore. He is hurting and scared, and he stabs himself out. And as you can see, this man already knows, and he just gives up. Smart man. And in this one, I'm just going to show you the overwhelming pressure and the output of damage that you can bring with a full draw into the combo on any unsuspecting victim. This man tries to run for his life, and unfortunately, he gets sniped. He tries to confuse. Doesn't matter. GG's, my boy. And then all of those clips before was really just me running it down at people. This is an instance that I had in a solo game where these two players are organically teaming. It didn't seem malicious, but I wanted to show you what it looks like when you play the longbow in a way that isn't so aggressive. So I assess this situation as, wow, there's actually two of them fighting me now. I'm absolutely terrified. That's when I use Cyclone to get away. I am immediately just looking for as much damage output as I can. You're going to miss your shots, but when you hit them like I did there, I Cyclone right back in and I try to continue the damage. I hit him again with the explosive shot. Unfortunately, it's a 2v1, and I can't play for the full aggression that I like to, so I have to keep bobbing and weaving with my Cyclone in and out and maximizing the damage. And these two are, they're really actually taking a lot of heat from me, but eventually it seems like the right time to go back and reheal so that I can continue fighting. I look for a Hail Mary shot. I don't find it. And ultimately, this is just the playstyle of a safe situation when using a longbow. If I'm ever trying to, 1v2, I'm no longer looking for an all-in moment. I'm looking for this chip stuff. So break his shield, hit him with the Q. He's panicking, hit him with a fire arrow. He runs away. His buddy's now coming back. Hit him. He's taking chip damage. And I'm now aggressing because I'm no longer in this 2v1. His buddy's falling back. I'm looking for more ways to damage this guy. And honestly, by the end of this clip, you'll see not a single person dies. And really, that's not the point of the clip. The point of the clip is to show you you're very squirmy, and look, we have another person behind. So I have two people in front of me, one person behind me, all of them targeting me at the exact same time. I'm low, little scared. I still take this aggressive pop shot. I put on my explosive arrow, and I go absolutely ham. And now he's running for his life, as he should, and inevitably I don't kill him, but this is a 1v3 that showcases when you take advantage of all these little things in your kit and play to the strengths of the class, you can do some incredible things with the longbow, which is why a lot of people are frustrated with it right now, is because when you get some really good players on the weapon, it almost seems unbelievably too oppressive, and there may be some sense of that being true. However, it is a pretty high skilled weapon in the grand scheme of things. All right, and that's going to wrap us up for the Longbow Hunter. Thank you guys so much for all the support on not only my YouTube, but also my Twitch. You guys coming in and giving me feedback and all this love is amazing. It's making this worth doing. Sorry I haven't uploaded too much in the last week. I know I had one out Monday, but I really plan on keeping on pumping these out. That priest video felt a little overwhelming, which is why I turned into this style of focusing on one thing, and I really feel like it did the weapon as well as the playstyle a lot more justice for somebody looking to consume this type of content to get better at the longbow, for instance. If this video helps you in any way, give me a like, give me a subscribe. It means the world to me. Drop me a comment. Let me know what class and or weapon you want to see next. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. If you want to check me out on Twitch, the link is in the description below, as well as my house name here and my character's name. I also have a Discord down below. If you want to join, you're more than welcome to. It's not the most poppin' place, but if you want it to be poppin', I'm always in there. I'm always responding and talking. Thank you guys so much again. And until next time, go get some loot, baby. Go get some loot.